In this video, after my little recording holiday, we catch up on the latest Trench Crusade lore. We will cover the Combat Biologist, the Butchered Saint and the Maximillian Class Knight in that order. So, you know what's coming? Welcome back to the trenches and let's begin. Combat Biologists are members of the Pontifical Office of Biological Warfare, or in the case of the Sultanate, the Al-Bistami School of 99 Names, which trains some of their failed alchemist apprentices in a similar fashion. These scholars specialise in battlefield vivisections and collecting samples of the most powerful servants of hell for study. These specimens are then used to develop weapons capable of driving the servants of the pit back into the darkness from whence they came. Combat Biologist Corps are assigned to units that operate in the most dangerous battlefield conditions and readily accompany units that operate deep within no man's land, including near the Hellgate or the domains of Beelzebub. Sometimes they travel into the wilds where the path of the beast reigns supreme, in hopes of extracting a sample from a great unholy creature, such as the dreaded Zygotic Lord. Such fell flesh might hold clues of undoing the physical and spiritual damage of the invisible labyrinth. Expeditions to seize an especially great monstrosity for further study are sometimes funded by the House of Wisdom, the Duke of Antioch, or one of the war cardinals, in order to develop new ways to hurt or kill its kind on the battlefield. Irish Fianna warriors are especially sought after to take part in such dangerous missions due to their expertise in finding the path of the beast. Such undertakings are deadly for both the hunters and the hunted, but those who succeed can expect great rewards, both material and spiritual. Captured horrors are kept in specially constructed pens and cells, where they are carefully studied. Their pain tolerance is tested, and they are subjected to various chemical, biological, and sacred compounds in order to identify their weaknesses. The House of Wisdom has a reinforced wing with meteoric iron doors wrought in the shape of the Seal of Solomon, whose alchemists and their Caravas guards adhere to a strict regimen. Meanwhile, the Church maintains its own special prisons for enemies directly tainted by hell, known as the Cell Obscura or Hidden Cells. Their locations within New Antioch, the Vatican, Königsberg and elsewhere are closely guarded secrets, both to thwart potential rescue attempts by heretic infiltrators, as well as to avoid panic amongst the civilian population in case one of the creatures held within should escape. Despite all the precautions, such incidents occur at disturbing regularity. The rampages of fugitive monsters have led to the rise of many legends of beasts stalking the cities of the faithful at night. The authorities encourage and maintain such legends to hide the truth, deploying discreet hunting parties to bring the creatures to heel. Due to their training, hypnotic conditioning and constant exposure to captured specimens, combat biologists enter a battle trance when faced with creatures that would induce uncontrollable fear in ordinary troops. They wield vivisectors, polearm blade weapons that combine sophisticated biological warfare agents and the functional brutality of trench warfare. Now on to their weapons. The first one is faith. It's not a passive instrument in the theatre of the Great War, rather it is one that is strengthened and sharpened by knowledge and experience. For the faithful, combat biologists are the one of the many whetstones upon which this sharpening occurs, travelling to the miseries of no man's land to capture the enemies of the Almighty, or yield as much data as possible from their corpses. This research helps to manufacture new weapons to turn against the foes of the Church and the Sultanate, with no sinner or hellbeast being beyond the reach of the combat biologist's toxin-laden vivisector. The vivisector weapon offers both excellent protection by keeping targets at bay, and its haft incorporates a trigger that injects a horrifying cocktail of holy ointments, chemical toxins, nerve agents and microshards of holy relics into any open wound, causing pain that is unbearable to even supernatural enemies. It can also be used to quickly dissect fallen enemies, so the organs can be preserved by the combat biologist. I always really like the faith mixed with science angles in this lore, so enjoyed the combat biologist's information. Interestingly, there is a similar alliance between the Iron Sultanate and those of New Antioch, mentioned within the lore of the Synod for Strategic Prophecy. It says there, some chambers, even deeper within the tower's foundations, are guarded by a cadre of watchers, the most elite warriors of the temple crowned by horns of light. What lies behind these doors remains a mystery, but some claim to have seen alchemists of the Iron Sultanate passing through, and whispers persist of monstrous wailing echoing from behind their 100-ton vault doors. If there is any truth to these rumours, none can say, but they only add to the awe-inspiring reputation of the Synod. And now what's a disappointingly brief lore drop on the butchered saint. Many saintly men and women have been lost to the heretics since the Great War first began. Few return and fewer still without the twisting influence of hell upon them. There are many tales as to the true identity of the butchered saint, whose in dying form, clothed in an exquisite death mask, is venerated by the stigmatic nuns. Some claim she was martyred by the heretic legions and kept alive by the grace of God. Others say that it was her desire for vengeance that brought her back to punish those who prey upon the faithful. It is said that she appears in response to prayers uttered by desperate soldiers who have been captured for slaughter, stepping delicately through spilled gore and barbed wire, her feet never touching the ground. Her soft voice whispers benedictions that melt heretic armour into agonising rivulets of scorched metal and ignite bullets in their magazines. She disappears just as abruptly, leaving behind a scent of sandalwood and tiny flakes of gold leaf drifting down from the sky. Now that tanky knight I mentioned at the start and the most recent bit of lore. Maximilian Class armour is the heaviest personal protection used by the Crusade Knight orders. This armour has seen extensive use in sieges and battles, as it excels in confined spaces where manoeuvrability is less important than extraordinary protection and devastating melee power, along with the ability to bring their long-range heavy machine guns lancers to bear against powerful foes and armoured heretic vehicles. Each knight wearing Maximilian Class armour is supported by a cadre of lay brethren, men-at-arms who deal with enemies' anti-armour troops and act as spotters for the knight, whose vision on the battlefield is limited. They also maintain the immense engines that power the suit, which is prone to all sorts of malfunctions and overheating. These engines have a voracious appetite for fuel, requiring constant feeding to allow these hulking battle towers to fight for any length of time. Although it follows the same technological principles as the machine armour used by standard faithful forces, Maximilian Class armour has a unique design. Its origin lies in a military pilgrimage made into the Levant based on a dream of stylite monk Georgi, who was granted a vision of the Pillar of Life. A major expedition combining the forces of several knightly orders was sent to find the location marked out by the holy stylite. This is someone who has an extreme case of self-discipline, denying themselves things for religious reason, and they live on top of a pillar. The story of the heroic expedition of 10,000 Crusader Knights is a popular subject of books and plays to this day, even though the story is shrouded in much mystery and legend. The Crusader Knights who undertook the pilgrimage each took a vow of silence to ensure that the truth of the matter would never be revealed. What is known, however, is that the expedition returned with fragments of ancient armour, as well as some extraordinarily large bones found atop a great rock pillar. The origins of the bones is the subject of intense speculation and debate, with some saying that once belonged to the Nephilim, titans mentioned in the oldest surviving holy books. I'll return to that at the end. From these fragments, the artificers of the Order of the Aurelian Angelic Knights of St. George developed the blueprint for Maximilian Class armour, combining their immense bulk with engine technology developed for machine armour. Standard machine armour is seldom modified, but Maximilian Class suits and their weapons, due to their rarity, are modified when their previous wearer is killed or too badly wounded to continue their service in combat. A careful process of testing and spiritual questioning by the church overseers determines which of the sword brethren is granted the honour of wearing the suit. It is then modified to fit its new wearer and their fighting style, armaments and assigned role in combat. Each suit can have all sorts of customization, such as vermiculite layers that protect the wearer against flamethrowers, or a self-contained breathing apparatus that shields the Crusader Knight from gas weapons. Now back to those Nephilim, and perhaps the original wearers of such armour we could speculate. This might fit into the idea of them being the offspring of fallen angels, the Watchers from the Book of Enoch, and mentioned in the lore I pulled from the Synod stuff earlier. A similar idea is mentioned in the Synod Prophecy Law, and I'm repeating myself there. There it starts at their secret headquarters where they try and speak to God. Yeah, looking at the script, I've actually dropped the excerpt in for the Combat Biologist stuff, and then a few weeks later I pulled in the excerpt for the Maximillian Class Armour, so that's why I'm repeating myself there. So I won't go into it again, so you'll probably just listen to me say what the law is from the Synod stuff. I'll wrap up the video here. I hope you enjoy it. Drop me a comment if you'd like to discuss anything, and I'll see you in the next one.